10 Things You Didn't Know About Tom Ford. From a college dropout to the head of Gucci to his current fashion mogul status. Welcome to the Modus world. Today we explore the life and career of Tom Ford. He was born on August 27, 1961, in Austin, Texas, the son of realtors Shirley Burton and Thomas David Ford. He spent his early life in the suburbs of Houston, and in San Marcos, outside Austin. At 6 he spent his days rearranging furniture in the house and giving his mother feedback on her hair and shoes. When he was 11 he entered St. Michael's High School and later moved to Santa Fe Preparatory School, from which he graduated in 1979. At age 16, he enrolled at Bard College at Simon's Rock, but quickly dropped out. He moved to New York City to study art history at New York University, but dropped out again after a year. He began studying interior architecture at the New School's Art and Design College, Parsons the New School for Design in New York City. Before his last year at New School, Ford spent a year and a half in Paris, where he worked as an intern in Chloe's press office, inspiring his interest in fashion. And here is how his journey in the fashion world began. Let's take a look at 10 things you didn't know about the life and work of Tom Ford. Number 1. Ford was one of the young figures at the iconic Studio 54. In 1979, Ford moved to New York and enrolled at New York University as an art history major. It was around this time that Ford ended up being a regular at Studio 54, a disco glamour club that would eventually inspire countless collections. Ford told New York Magazine, "One night, I was sitting in my room at Weinstein Dormitory, thinking, God, please let someone knock on the door, because I was so lonely. Then this nice guy from my art history class in this cute little blazer came in, and he asked if I wanted to go to a party. Andy Warhol was at the party, and he took us to Studio 54. Number 2. Tom Ford was the most mature kid ever born. At the age of 5, when most kids play with a ball or their Barbies, Tom Ford was planning his future ahead. As he says, when he was 5 years he wanted to be 50. He knew what he was going to look like and what he would do for a living, although there was this time when he wanted to be either an actor or a cosmetic surgeon. He never felt like a kid. Instead of hanging out with his friends, he wanted to go at his parents' cocktail parties. He even wore a suit and carried a suitcase in 3rd grade. Stylish men are born, not made. 2 things he got wrong. The first one was his gray hair at his temples, and the second one that he would be living in a fancy apartment in New York. Today, he dyes his hair and he can't even imagine how living in the Big Apple would be. Number 3. Richard Buckley, the man of his heart. In case you didn't know, Tom Ford is a married man. So, let's get to know more about their story, shall we? When Richard worked at Women's Wear Daily, he met Tom at a fashion show and they instantly clicked. Their first dates were kind of weird, since their best friends were in the hospital, dying from AIDS, and it took them 4 dates to have sex for the first time. In 1986, the couple moved in together and, 3 years later, Richard Buckley was diagnosed with cancer which, as the doctors told him, was likely fatal. In 2014, they got married, but they had already announced the arrival of their first child, Alexander John Buckley Ford, who is now 7 years old. Number 4. He is a successful film director. Ford made his directorial debut in 2009 by releasing the drama film A Single Man. Based on Christopher Isherwood's novel, A Single Man, starring Colin Firth and Julianne Moore, received positive reviews from critics who singled out Ford's direction and Firth's performance. For his role in the film, Firth received a BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role as well as Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, and Academy Award nominations. In 2015, Ford released his second film Nocturnal Animals with Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal as the leads. The film received numerous accolades, including 9 BAFTA Award nominations and Golden Globe Award nominations for Best Director and Best Screenplay, and a Best Supporting Actor win for Aaron Taylor Johnson. Number 5. He turned Gucci into a $3 billion company and then walked away. In 1990, Ford moved to Milan to assume the role of women's wear designer for Gucci. At the time, the exalted leather company was hampered by management infighting and a struggle to keep up with market trends. Ford instantly breathed new life into Gucci. He ascended quickly through the company's ranks, rising to design director in 1992 and to creative director in 1994. Ford completely revamped Gucci's image, replacing the minimalism of the early 1990s with updated retro looks that oozed sex appeal. He expanded the company into a host of new ventures, including men's and women's sportswear, evening wear and home furnishings. Under Ford's leadership, Gucci acquired the venerable French brand Yves Saint Laurent, fueling remarkable growth in the company's sales. Over the course of the decade, Ford served as Gucci's driving force, 1994 to 2004, and the company's annual sales increased from $230 million to $3 billion. The New York Magazine wrote, "Every season, Ford created an it piece, a must-have, a season-defining trend, photographed to death, knocked off ad nauseum." However, during these years, there were creative tensions between Ford and Maurizio Gucci, the company's chairman and 50% owner. According to Mello, Maurizio always wanted everything to be round and brown, and Tom wanted to make it square and black. Though Maurizio Gucci wanted to fire Ford, Domenico De Sole insisted that he remain. Nonetheless, Ford's work during the early 1990s was primarily behind the scenes. His contributions to Gucci were overshadowed by those of Mello, who was the company's public face. In April 2004, Ford parted ways with the Gucci Group after he and CEO Domenico De Sole, who is credited as Ford's partner in Gucci's success, failed to agree with Pinot Redute's boss over control of the group. Number 6. His grandmother was his first muse. She was larger than life to me. Even as an adult, but when I was a child it was really like she was from another planet. It seemed like she lived in a different world, and wherever that was, I wanted to go. He told Interview magazine, "My grandmother was probably the first person who I thought was beautiful. She was incredibly stylish, she had big hair, big cars. I was probably 3 years old, but she was like a cartoon character. She always smelled great and looked great. She always had the latest things." Although the former Gucci creative director works with stunning models on a daily basis, he thinks someone cannot be truly beautiful if they don't have a good personality. He explained, "It's my business to make a woman or a man beautiful, and I'm working with a model in a fitting, and I've objectified them to the point that they become an object. There's something that I'm shaping or sculpting, but I'm very aware that even though I make them physically beautiful, their soul and personality and character is somewhat detached from that." Number 7. Tom Ford loves baths. In a Harper's Bazaar feature, Ford shared that he usually bathes 3 to 5 times in a day. He proclaimed, "Often I lie in the tub for a half hour and just let my mind wander. I find a bath meditative and usually prepare myself for the day in this manner." The designer has also confessed that on particularly stressful days, he takes a bath every hour or two. However, since becoming a father, Ford has reduced the number of times he bathes to just 2. Telling the Evening Standard, "I resolve a lot of things in the bath." Number 8. Tom Ford, the introvert. If you ever meet Tom Ford in person, he will definitely not be the celebrity you've seen giving interviews on television. Real Tom has nothing to do with his public image. As he says, he is an extremely shy person who doesn't like big parties with people he doesn't know. "I am not someone who likes cocktail parties or large dinner parties. I am somebody who likes to be alone and see some close friends. I am a shy and introspective person," he says. Every time Tom gives an interview or attends an event, he just performs like going on stage. This is something that exhausts him. A perfect example that proves how down-to-earth he is comes from the fact that he doesn't like it when celebrities wear his clothes for red carpet events. As he said on Jimmy Kimmel, "I don't necessarily love the process. It's not a creative process usually, dressing actresses for the Oscars because, you know, when you're designing you're able to kind of figure out what you believe in and what you think the world needs right now or what women need right now. You're literally a voice in contemporary culture with what you design. What's worn on the red carpet has nothing to do with what's going on in contemporary fashion. It's really a kind of bubble of 1950s Barbie clothes. It's quite different than what real people are really wearing." Number 9. He's a self-confessed workaholic perfectionist. There was one point when Tom Ford ran both Yves Saint Laurent and Gucci at the same time. He never complained, he never felt like he had too many obligations on his plate. Simply, because Tom is a workaholic. A real workaholic. "If I'm awake, I'm working," he says. Non-stop. However, in 2004, the designer and director left the Gucci Group and his life took a complete turn. Since he openly admitted that this event left him almost bankrupt. But it was not until recently when he realized that, no matter how much he is attracted to beautiful things, the connection to other people is what brings real happiness. 12 years later and he still remains a workaholic. His own brand, which includes menswear, women's wear, bath and body products, accessories, makeup products, cologne, and candles, is not just successful. It is a fashion bestseller. Oh, and for the record, if you ever want to visit a Tom Ford boutique, be prepared to spend $1,797 on average. Number 10. Tom Ford doesn't work out at all. He used to hit the gym regularly, but for the past 2.5 years, he has not worked out once. However, he hasn't neglected himself completely, since he takes care of what he eats and drinks. But, as he admits, he is also lucky genetically. Tom Ford is the same weight he was 20 years ago and weighs himself every single day. If he gains more than 3 pounds, he goes on a vegetable-based diet. This is his secret to remain a sample size. Additionally, after he became a father, he came to terms with his age and stopped getting Botox and fillers.